everyone, I'm back with another educational video. And so for this vlog, we will be talking about the fundamentals of taxation. So without further ado, let's get started. For the fundamentals of taxation, we will be talking about the nature of taxation, the purpose and the canons of taxation, the basis and the objects of taxation, SITUS and the limitations of taxation, double taxation, the question of government taxing itself, and avoiding taxation. We will be talking first about the nature of taxation. So what are taxes and what is taxation? Taxes are government's main source of funds. It is an involuntary fees levied on individuals or corporations and enforced by a government entity, whether local, regional, or national, in order to finance government activities. While taxation is a state power exercised through the country's legislative body, it is the process of collecting fees from individuals who earn income from compensation or business profits to raise revenues for government expenditures and other services, and it must only be used for government operations and for the public welfare. Now, what's the purpose of taxation? The primary purpose of taxation is to raise revenues from all possible sources to support government expenditures and services, and to promote the general well-being and protection of the citizens. The secondary purposes of taxation are to strengthen anemic enterprises by giving tax exemptions, to protect local industries against foreign competition through imposition of high customs duties on imported goods, also to influence behavior, like imposing taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, or to discourage people from using or buying them. Also to stabilize the economy, like the government uses the raising and lowering of taxes to help stabilize the business cycle. And lastly, to redistribute income, like taxes taken from the wealthy can be used to help the needy. After the purpose of taxation, we are now down to the canons of taxation. So what are the canons of taxation? These refers to the basic principles of a sound tax system, which identify the following: fiscal adequacy, administrative feasibility, and theoretical justice. Let us know these principles of a sound tax system one by one. So first off is the fiscal adequacy. It means that taxes collected by the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, must be sufficient enough to fund the necessary government expenditures and basic services in a given fiscal year. It means that the revenues should be capable of expanding or contracting annually in response to variations of public expenditures. Second one is administrative feasibility. It means that payment of taxes must be taxpayer-friendly, or in other words, the tax system should be capable of being properly and efficiently administered by the government and enforced with the least inconvenience to the taxpayer. The third one is theoretical justice. It is the ability to pay principle. It means that taxes levied must be based upon the ability of the citizen to pay. So this principle holds that taxes should relate with the people's income or the ability to pay, that is, people with greater income or wealth and can afford to pay more taxes should be taxed at higher than people with less wealth. So an example of this is the individual income tax. Now, it is important to know the basis of taxation too. So the following are the basis of taxation. Number 1, the Constitution, which is the fundamental law of the land. Number 2, the statutes or the laws passed by the Congress. Number 3 is the presidential decrees. Number 4 is all about the Bureau of Internal Revenue, their rules and their regulations. Number 5, judicial decisions in tax cases by the Supreme Court. Number 6, provincial, city, and municipal ordinances. Number 7, observance of international agreements. And number 8 is the administrative rulings and opinions. That being said, the existence of the government is a necessity for the basis of taxation because the government cannot continue without a means to pay its expenses. That is why there are laws, ordinances, and rules and regulations imposed by the government. And so the government has the rights to compel its citizens and property within its limits to contribute. Now let us go to the 5th topic under the fundamentals of taxation, which is all about the objects of taxation. So for the objects of taxation, you just have to remember the 3 P's. The first P is for persons or individuals who earn a considerable amount of income as a worker or as a businessman in partnerships or corporations, including those who inherited a property or given a gift or donation of a considerable value. The second P is for properties, the tangible and intangible property, whether personal properties that can be moved or relocated or real properties. And the last P for the objects of taxation is privileges or rights, which includes transactions, consumptions interests, imports and exports, and of course, privileges. Let us proceed to the situs of taxation. So situs, by the way, is a Latin term for place or location, and it refers to the place where taxes are to be paid. So for income tax, this is paid either in the place where the income is earned or the place of residence of the taxpayer. For real property tax, it is paid where the property is situated, while for personal property, taxes on intangible properties are paid in the place where the property is located, similar to real property tax. And for business and occupation taxes, this is paid in the place where the business or occupation is located. With these, a government or state exercises its taxing power and authority only on taxpayers, income, or transactions that fall within its jurisdiction. Thus, the situs or place of taxation is critical in determining whether or not a state has the power to tax. Now, it's important that we should also know the limitations of taxation. So, taxation is limited to certain provisions, and we have 2 types of limitations: the inherent limitation and the constitutional limitation. Inherent limitations are the restrictions on the power exists from the very nature of the power of taxation itself, like how government entities are exempted, the territorial jurisdiction, and tax revenues must only be used for public purposes. While constitutional limitations are the restrictions in the exercise of the power of taxation as expressly provided in the Philippine Constitution, like for example, the observance of due process of law, the uniformity and equity rule, and the non-imprisonment for non-payment of full tax. The 8th topic is all about double taxation. So what is double taxation? Double taxation is a tax principle referring to income taxes paid twice on the same source of income. So it can occur when income is taxed at both the corporate level and personal level. And it can also refer to an instance when an income, a property, or transaction was imposed with the 2 or more taxes by the taxing authority in the same year. Let us proceed to the question of government taxing itself. So can the government tax itself? The answer is that the government may be taxed if it derives profit in the exercise of its proprietary capacity, and not when the revenues were gained from the exercise of governmental responsibility. So it is very simple. If the government acts in its proprietary capacity, when it functions for gaining profit, the government will be taxed. And if the government functions in its governmental capacity, when it serves the people and delivers basic services to them, then the government is not taxed. The last one is avoiding taxation. So the following are the other concepts related to taxation in terms of avoidance or non-payment. Namely, they are shifting, capitalization, tax avoidance, tax evasion, and tax exemption. The first one is shifting. This is the passing on of the tax burden from one person to another. Then capitalization. This is done by reducing the price of a taxable product or service to lower the tax that will be imposed on its consumption. We also have tax avoidance. It is also called as tax minimization. It refers to the availing by the taxpayer of legally allowable means in reducing or minimizing the tax due on certain properties, items, and services. For example, using legitimate tax deductions. Another one is tax evasion. It is also called as tax dodging or not paying taxes. It refers to the use by the taxpayer of illegal means in escaping, defeating, or lessening the tax due. For example, not reporting income and not paying taxes that you owed. And lastly, we have tax exemption. This means the bestowal of immunity by the taxing authority on a taxpayer from the obligation of tax payment.
So that's all for the fundamentals of taxation, guys. Thank you so much for watching and see you on our next vlog. Bye!